and welcome back to Novelty with S&B, the book club with a podcast. I'm your co-host, Beck. And today we're going to talk about quite a bit of books, the books that we read in the last 2 weeks, as well as we want to go kind of over the TikTok trend of hashtag 10 before the end. But before we start all that, what are you sipping on? What tea do you have today?
Yeah, I am drinking, it's honey vanilla chamomile, and it has chamomile orange pills licorice, but I can't taste it, so.
That's good, because licorice is gross.
Yeah, and then it has roasted chicory, lemongrass, and then natural vanilla flavors, whatever that is. So,
what's chicory?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. It's in there.
I have no idea. It's in there, though. It's good. My husband bought me this tea when I was sick. So last weekend, as you know,
yes,
I was out like so sick. It was like a cold, but it was like the worst one I ever had, and it was like accompanied with a migraine. Blah blah blah.
Was it as bad as a man cold though?
It might have been, actually, because I didn't do shit. Like my husband had to do everything. Usually, I have to still do everything when I'm sick. Like I don't have to. I could probably ask him, but I just do it.
Right.
But last weekend I was like, nah, like go get groceries because I can't move. But anyways. He bought me tea, which was really sweet. And it was this, and it was really good. So I'm having some today because I really enjoyed it. So what are you having right now?
I kind of sold out and got the Starbucks iced apple crisp non-dairy cream chai tea latte. I just didn't have the effort to put it to actually put it. It's
but how is that?
It's my favorite. Like I'm going to be so sad when they get rid of the apple stuff.
Text me what that's called, because it's kind of long.
It's so good.
I'm going to forget.
You could probably just order the apple crisp chai, and they'd be like, oh, you want that? Yes, please.
And I'll be like, yes, please. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds really
But I'll still text you.
Sounds really yummy. Yeah.
I like texting you.
Oh, I like texting you too. Friends. So what book are you going to talk about first?
Sure. So I figured we could keep the hashtag read with S&B until a little later, but the book that I read first in the last 2 weeks was Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson. It was 326 pages. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It is one of those that is, what is it called? Tor Nightfire. So I'm a big fan of that publishing group, apparently. So that's what I started reading. Also, TikTok did a vote, and that's what won.
Nice.
So
I voted for that one.
You did.
Yeah, I was interested in it.
So to keep things short, we start in 1979 Ireland with Eden. It's spelled completely different, but I looked up the pronunciation because I had to. She has a pretty bad home life. She goes to this party, and on the way home, she finds a body just in the middle of the road. And it's been eaten by a dog. I think I sent you like a text of this. Like, oh, what am I reading? Is this your book, actually?
I know, right?
And then like something in the back of her head tells her she just can't leave this body in the middle of the road. She needs to take it somewhere. Turns out she takes it to this old farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, and then it just ends up being the worst night of her life. Actually, a couple of days. But like, it doesn't actually go into too much detail as far as like what actually happens to her. You get bits and pieces as the story goes on, but a lot of it you kind of puzzle together by the end of the book.
Right.
And then we jump to 20 years in the future when Betty is starting college. She meets Aisling, discovers Aisling has a pretty bad home life as well. Her sister, her sister went missing. Her dad killed himself shortly after the sister went missing. So it kind of looks like dad did kidnap. Yeah. And then all of this happened right after they visited the TV show set for like this children's TV show. And the children's TV show in itself is pretty creepy. Like there's this black box in the middle of the room that never opens. And there's like this big red door. So it's really creepy. And it was really very immersive. Like you felt like you were right there the whole time,
Oh wow.
which, you know, it kind of lends itself to be a little confusing when you're reading it, but then once you start to piece the things together, you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this is what actually happened. But I
Right.
like that in kind of like a horror aspect because like it I don't like when everything is just given to you. You kind
Oh
of have to like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It makes it more eerie too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then like things do slowly start to slide into place. You aren't given really much answers at the end, but like you, from the context, you pretty much piece everything together and what is going on.
Mm.
And then like, if you think about all the things that happened and about what you read, you're like, oh shit, that's actually really clever. And then like, there's like all these little clues of like,
Mhm.
just the language he just decides to use is very telling. Yeah. So like he
That's
calls certain people dogs and like he uses like paws instead of hands, like that kind of thing, which is really cool.
okay. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds interesting. Like super interesting.
Yeah. Is I 10 out of 10. Go watch it or read it. Don't watch it. I mean, you could try.
Is it a trophy book or
Yeah, probably.
Oh, that's awesome.
And not to spoil anything, but the next one that I'm going to discuss is also a trophy book.
What?
Yeah.
Dang, girl.
I know. It was a great month. 2 weeks.
Nice.
Just kidding. It wasn't
Yeah.
the whole month was not. We'll get into that.
Yeah, I know that's not true.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's on KU too, which is
Mhm.
wonderful. So I'll probably have to give it a
You
go.
should because like
Yeah.
and there is like some like obviously they're children, they're college age children, so like anybody under the age of 25 is a child to me, but there's obvious eye rolls because who wasn't
Oh, yeah.
an eye
Yeah.
roll in college, you know?
Oh, for
Or at
sure.
that age. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to read it. That's really cool. How'd you find out about it?
It's a Tor Nightfire, so it's part of
Oh, that's right. That's
every
right.
once in a while I'll go on their like their website just to look at what's new, and that was
Mhm.
on there. And I don't know, something about the artwork got me.
Yeah, it is a cool cover for sure.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
dig it.
cool.
What about you? What did you read?
So Air of Fire
Yeah.
by Sarah J. Maas. It's Throne of Glass book number 3. Fantasy, 576 pages. I finished it October 23rd, and I read Kindle and listened to it on Audible because I do both.
Ooh, wow.
So the summary, you're not going to get that because I'm not going to give any spoilers away. So with this book, like I have said before, I cannot dive into a discussion on this book yet. So
Mhm.
we will be having a Tea and Tog episode. So it'll be all things Throne of Glass, like we did with ACOTAR once I complete the series. I will say that I absolutely loved it.
Yay.
And it was so good. So much is happening. I'm kind of glad because I know when we get to our episode where we talk about it, I'm not going to be able to go book by book because it all is kind of melding together. Or like,
Yes.
was that this book or that? So it just is going to make it a lot easier. Anyways, so I'm going to read a couple horrors before I get started on Assassin's Blade, but that's going to be my next read in the series. I am going to do it. So I think you wanted to read it as well. So I will have to let you know when I start that, and then you can start it when I start it. So that should be super fun. I'm actually really excited to learn more about her prior to all of this and her relationship with Sam. So yeah. If you haven't started, so as far as like recommendations, if you haven't started it, like you need to. I love ACOTAR, but this one is inching its way up, and it's either going to break even or pass it. I think it might actually pass it. I love everything about this series so far, and I loved ACOTAR as well, but Silver Flames kind of it was a tad bit disappointing for me. I still liked it. I didn't hate it by any means. It just wasn't. It just seems so different from
the
what we
rest of
started
it.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is it? It was just kind of off track. Wasn't a huge fan of it, but nothing in this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm interrupting. Selena shows you that you can have like a bitchy character without like completely ruining a book, you know? Well,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
Selena is what I wished Nesta was.
Yeah, and it doesn't like ruin the men either in this book.
Yeah, right.
Cassian, like I don't know, that book, I'm like, what happened? That's not you. Like it just
Yeah,
anyway.
I didn't like that part
Yeah, and
at all.
we talked about
Yeah.
that a lot.
Well,
We did Oops All Avatar because it's just so disappointing. So it was disappointing for me. Like I said, didn't hate it. It's just I love the others a lot more. So with this series, nothing has disappointed me thus far. Like not even a little bit. I know some people say, oh, it's boring and the first book was boring. I haven't been bored yet. I don't know if I think her writing just speaks to me. I don't know. I don't get bored with her writing. I am into it from the first page. So I'm really hoping. I don't think the series is going to disappoint me from what I've heard from you, because I trust you more than anything on
right
or anything else. And me and you both kind of had the same feel about Silver Flames, which was refreshing because I'm like, God, everyone's like, that's my favorite. And I'm like, ugh, how?
right.
We'll see. So far I'm loving it. Yeah, can't really talk about it, like I said, but Assassin's Blade is next, and I'm super excited to get into that. It's really hard to take breaks, but I'm doing it because
I know,
I want to read other things, or else my whole section of like our podcast would be like, well, can't talk about it. So, I'm reading other, so I'm reading other things in between, but I love it so far. If you haven't read it, you should pick it up. It's really good. That's it. So go ahead with your next trophy book, I guess. This next one is okay, cool. I can't wait to hear about it.
This actually is like a TikTok book. This is how I got the recommendation. It has been on my. I'm going to go into a ramble before I actually get to this, what it is. It was on my Libby like hold for a long time. It finally came up. I was like, you know what? I might as well just get into it. I'm not going to like pass up the hold. So let's just try. And boy, oh boy, was I so happy that I did. This is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. It is 560 pages, dark academia, and surprisingly, it was a mystery thriller, which for me, is not what you would expect for me to actually enjoy. But I'll get into why. It's about this guy. His name is Richard Papin? Something. He is from California. He is pretty upset or just isn't loving his life in California, which, hashtag relatable. But he has this like idea that things need to be like more aesthetic and like he's not living his life to like the rich fulfillment and all of this. So he decides that he's going to go to this college in Hampden, Vermont, which I think we should move our retreat to Vermont after this. But he sees like this pamphlet that he's going through, like college pamphlets, and he sees this and he like college, and he instantly falls in love with it. So he transfers all of his credits over. When he gets there, he's trying to take Greek, but the Greek professor does not just take students. He has to like change all of his studies over to just him specifically, except for one class, which is like French or something, because the professor can't speak it. So he falls in love with the aesthetic of these students, Richard, our main character. He loves the way that they look, the way that they talk, the way that like they all carry themselves. So he's like, I have to fucking get into this class. So he does everything he possibly can to get into the class, and it's only 5 people. So like, and then so like it just is kind of this story of how he's trying to integrate himself into this class. Oh, I should also mention, has the hardest first line of all like books ever. Hold on, let me find it.
Okay.
Which is why I started like reading it in the first place, because I'm like, how do you start that way? Let me.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
prologue. And you probably have heard this on TikTok, by the way.
Oh, okay.
The snow in the mountains was melting, and Bunny had been dead for several weeks before we came to understand the gravity of our situation. He'd been dead for 10 days before they found him, you know. It was one of the biggest manhunts in Vermont history. Straight troopers, the FBI, even the Army helicopter. The college closed, the dye factory in Hamden shut down, people coming from New Hampshire, upstate New York, and as far away as Boston. So we start off
Oh
on
my
a death.
goodness.
So we know that this
Just
death is
hit
going
it.
to happen.
Yeah. That's
So
crazy.
it's kind of, yeah, it's really funny. Well, not funny, but like really cool the way that she like starts it that way, and then you kind of have to figure out how this kid dies, and then he dies about halfway through, and then like how the rest of the characters deal with this death. Now, to be honest with you, that isn't what got me. Like that is kind of like meh. Like if you were to tell me like, that's the story, I'd be like,
Right.
why would you want me to read this? But what got me was the writing. So the way she writes Richard is a very unreliable narrator. Like we almost know that from the get-go. Like he is more obsessed with how he appears than how he actually is. So,
Oh, I like that. I like
Yes.
unreliable narrators. I love it.
and then as you slowly get more and more, like you start to understand that we're getting Richard's story. We're not getting the whole story. So
Yeah.
it's almost like he's telling this story to come off as good as he possibly can.
Right.
But he lets little
Mm.
things slip that you're like, oh, this dude's crazy.
Oh, that sounds really
It's
good.
so good.
That
then,
sounds
like,
really awesome.
There's like twins in there that are really, interesting. There's
Mhm.
Henry. There's like this bacchanal that happens. It so much happens, but it's really like how the story is told that really got me. And I don't know how I could possibly convince you other than that to like, you need to read this.
I mean, if you're saying you need to read it, then I need to read it. I trust your recommendations over anyone's. There hasn't been any books you've recommended where I've been like, I don't like it. So
there's even like a point where like she was
it is long.
It's so long.
Yeah.
But, like there's like this description of like how they were trying to find Bunny, and Bunny is short for Edmund, by the way. It's a boy that ends up getting. I was like, what?
Mhm.
And I should tell you that the prologue does tell you that they kill him. Like they are
Okay.
responsible. So that's not a spoiler. The prologue tells you.
Yeah.
But there is like this description of like, well, they couldn't find him because they kept walking over his body because it had snowed the night. So they just kept walking over it, and it packed the snow down so that they couldn't. I know, dude.
That's insane.
I was so like, oh. And like this book is really what reminds me of why I like reading in the first place, because like you get these beautiful books about crazy people.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds really interesting.
Like I said, the story itself is probably like, meh, but once you actually like start to realize, oh, Richard's like not telling us what's actually going on, then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
and you heard about that on Book Talk?
Yeah, because I kept hearing that stupid line of like, Bunny had been dead for several weeks. I'm like, who the fuck is Bunny? I should read this.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. I don't think I've ever heard that. I'll hear it now.
Really?
No.
I'll send them to you.
Yeah.
And it's always like some like girl in like a plaid skirt and like a bow tie and all that, like that dark academia stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
I love the
that's cool.
aesthetic, but like,
Yeah, for
I'm not
sure.
12 or 20 anymore.
Yeah. 12 or 20.
12 or 20. Either.
Yeah. No, it sounds really interesting. I'll have to add that to my freaking TBR.
Yeah. I know. Never ending, dude.
Yeah.
We'll get we have a whole list of 10 before the end. So we're.
Yeah. Now you're making me question some of my 10. Now
Dude,
I'm wanting to replace
me too.
them. Okay, so I'm gonna get into the September House by Carissa Orlando. I believe it was her debut novel as well. I
Ooh.
finished it November 2nd, so yesterday. um 352 pages, and I read it on KU. So it took me a minute, you know.
Oh yeah, you just
Yeah, I just
yeah,
read it. Yeah.
all by
So
yourself.
all by my lonesome. So when Margaret and her husband Hal bought the large Victorian house on Hawthorne Street for sale at a surprisingly reasonable price,
Mm.
they couldn't believe they finally found a home of their own. They discovered the hauntings every September. Oh, then they discovered the hauntings. Every September, the walls drip blood, the ghosts of former inhabitants appear, and all of them are terrified of something that lurks in the basement. Most people would flee. Margaret is not most people. Margaret is staying. It's her house. But after 4 years, Hal can't take it anymore, and he leaves abruptly. Now he's not returning calls, and their daughter Catherine, who knows nothing about the hauntings, arrives, intent on looking for her missing father. To make things worse, September has just begun, and with every attempt Margaret and Catherine make at finding Hal, the hauntings grow more harrowing because there are some secrets the house needs to keep. So
Ooh.
I won't say. So I didn't go into this book blind. I completely like I've seen it on Book Talk, of course, and then I've seen it. It's been recommended, like Goodreads and stuff. Like, oh, you should read this if you like that. And I put it on my TBR, and I'm like, oh, it's a good time of the year for something scary.
Spooky. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's not what I expected at all, but I did enjoy it. It's just not what I was thinking. So when I started reading it, I was so confused about Margaret's attitude towards like the hauntings and the ghosts, because she was so like nonchalant about it. Like it was like funny. I'm like, this is funny. Like, what is going on? So it has dark comedy in it. She wasn't like scared of any of it. She was more like annoyed than anything. And so it just makes it funny. Like, oh, again, there they are again. Like, just so annoyed.
I guess my walls are bleeding.
Yeah. Yeah. Like literally, like just so annoyed. Like, oh, September's coming. God, I'm gonna have to freaking clean the walls every day. Like, so funny. Now, come like October 1st, the wall. It's not like she has to clean it up. That's it. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But there is ghosts in the house year round. It's just in September it gets especially bad with the walls bleeding, and then there's like nonstop screaming and moaning all night, so she doesn't get any sleep.
That just sounds like once a month for us, you know?
Right? Yeah. Yep. Every week, a week, every month we go through this, but it's fine. So she calls a lot of the ghosts the pranksters is what she calls them. There's like a little boy you can't get too close to or he'll bite you. There's a very bad entity in the basement. So all these things. And there's Frederica, who is like the maid. I love her. Oh my God. And she's always making a perfect cup of tea for ma'am in the house. And she's one you'll love. You'll love her. Even though it's sad what happened to her and what she looks like. You're like, oh God, but I love her. Anyways, so like the summary explains, they get their dream home and then the ghosts appear, and then September. So Hal leaves. He's like, I'm not dealing with this. Like, you're nuts.
Like a normal person.
Bye. And he leaves her. And Catherine's like calling her mom and is like, where's dad? Like, they didn't really have a good relationship to begin with. They didn't talk a whole lot, but she thinks it's weird. She's like, I usually at least talk a little bit to dad when I call mom, and she always had an excuse. And finally Catherine's like, well, I'm coming there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
obviously
coming.
Yeah.
I guess what month it is.
Oh, is it September?
It's September. So the daughter comes down, and before the daughter comes, like, Margaret has a priest come and like try to cleanse the house. That only works for so long. So Catherine gets there, and then a lot of things start to unravel as far as you find out a lot about Margaret and Hal's relationship, and there is domestic abuse in this. With flashbacks, you find out that Margaret's kind of been through it. Hal also had a very bad drinking problem, so you kind of start learning about their secrets, and then so lots of crazy things start happening. Of course, not right away when Catherine gets there, but after a couple days, and then Catherine's in this like, is her mom losing grip on reality, or is Catherine going to start seeing these horrors within the home for herself? So it kind of puts you on that road where you're like, which one is it? I'm not gonna say. My only issue is the book was a bit longer than it needed to be. Not that it was boring. Great dialogue, like it was well written. I just think some of it could have been spared. Right. That's
Sure,
my only.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just a little like, okay. But he is a great writer. Tons of dialogue, which I don't see in a lot of books. It's kind of like, like a Quentin Tarantino film where it's just dialogue. There was a lot of that in the book, but I enjoy that. So I liked it. Anyways, I enjoyed the book. It was actually really funny. It's not like a T. Kingfisher book, I would say. Obviously, she's kind of a whole nother level with her horror and everything. But the humor that T. Kingfisher, she can like bring that into horror. And Carissa, what's her name? Carissa Orlando did that really well with this book as well. She could bring in the horror without it being like, it was good. It was funny. You're laughing. But as far as recommendations go, there is some heavy topics, like I said, domestic violence, substance abuse with alcohol, and there is some gore. It's nothing. It's not bad at all, but it's there. So please know that prior to reading. But if you were in the right headspace for these topics, then I would absolutely recommend it. It was really good. It was funny. I was laughing a lot. For horror books, it's weird, but just Margaret's attitude towards it is in the beginning, especially, is just, you're just laughing. Yeah, it was a good book.
That's good.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I like when horror is a little weird. That's like the reason I like horror is because it's always like unique,
And I kind of like how you don't know, like you do kind of start thinking like, is it her? But then other things you're like, well, it can't because of this. And it's really cool how they, you go back and forth with that, like what's really going on. And then it's revealed. But really good book. I enjoyed it. Oh no.
I know. I was hoping you would talk about this longer so we didn't have to get to. I mean, okay. It wasn't terrible. Like, the sentences made sense. There was no grammatical errors.
No.
Our hashtag read with SMB was Hidden Pictures by Jason Ruckalak. It was a horror thriller mystery, 372 pages on Kindle Unlimited. This is the book that Stephanie first started reading on audiobook, so I guess there's that.
It went from 1.2 to 1.5 to 2.
I know, dude. I do that all the time. A wildly invented, spin on the supernatural thriller about a woman working as a nanny for a young boy with strange and disturbing secrets. Mallory Quinn is fresh out of rehab when she takes a job as a babysitter for Ted and Caroline Maxwell. She is to look after their 5-year-old son, Teddy. Mallory immediately loves it. She has her own living space, goes out for nightly runs, and has the stability she craves. And she sincerely bonds with Teddy, a sweet, shy boy who is never without his sketchbook and pencil. His drawings are the usual fare, trees, rabbits, balloons, but one day, he draws something different, a man in a forest dragging a woman's lifeless body. Then, Teddy's artwork becomes increasingly sinister, and his stick figures quickly evolve into lifelike sketches well beyond the ability of any 5-year-old. Mallory begins to wonder if these are the glimpses of a long, unsolved murder, perhaps relayed by a supernatural force. Knowing just how crazy it all sounds, Mallory nevertheless sets out to decipher the images and save Teddy before it's too late.
Sounds so good.
It sounds really good. It really does. Like, all of it is, and although all of this does happen to an extent, it's the in-between that really just bummed us out.
Yeah. So, such a great idea. Like, of course, it starts off like, creepy kids drawing pictures. Like, it's perfect. It's perfect setting for a horror. But the thing that was like, the first thing was it says babysitter. She was pretty much a nanny, really, but she gets hired, and I thought it was weird. I'm like, this super wealthy family is hiring somebody who just got out of recovery from hard drugs to watch their kid. So that was weird, but okay. And then you get into the book, and it started off pretty good. Like, I was like, oh, ooh, this is this is pretty good. And then there's so much religion
Yes.
in this book that drove me. And I'm not a religious person. And there's
There's nothing wrong. No.
if you are, that's great. I just didn't expect it. And there was like
such a
and there were so many. Oh, how do I like?
It was put in places where like you didn't necessarily need it.
Yeah, it was also kind of like talking about people who maybe aren't religious, like putting them in a very bad light. Like
that's okay. That's how I would explain this book to anybody that wants to read it. Is that it is like Christian horror, where the girl that finds herself, saves herself, or God saves her, however you want to put that, is the protagonist. She's the good guy, she's the hero, and the what is it called? Shit. I'm drawing a blank. People that don't believe in God are the ones that are the atheists, sorry.
The atheists,
are the ones that are the bad guys and are like trying to bring her down and like all this stuff where it's like kind of like weird.
It's also like they have no morals because they don't like with the way the husband is. That's all I'll say, and things like that. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't like that because it's everywhere already, and it's like, why do you have to put it?
Yeah, you don't need to villainize people that are different than you.
Exactly. And that really annoyed me about this book.
What also really annoyed me was how naive he wrote our main character Mallory.
Oh my god!
Although she is supposedly this hard drug user that would do anything for a hit,
lived on the streets and dealt with some real shit.
She's not sure if this boy is going to kiss her or not. Like that was really weird to me. Like
that was really weird.
Why would you create a character like this that is so naive unless it's just to, I don't know, further your story of like Christian girls are sweet and innocent, but
I guess but she wasn't.
She wasn't.
No, she was addicted to heroin. Like
and like she goes into somebody's like bathroom thinking about like what prescription pills do they have, and it's like
but then, I don't. But then when she gets around a cute boy, I don't know what to do.
Well, and it was really weird too. Like the beginning of the story, it was about how she did this like experiment, or she was part of the study that was about the male gaze, and I'm still not 100% sure why that was necessary. I don't either.
I forgot about that part actually.
Yeah, see, like it's so forgettable that you're like, oh, this doesn't need to be in the book.
No, there was a lot that didn't need to. I don't know. It was just not my thing.
Yeah.
There was some good parts. Like there was parts where
I was creeped out. Yeah.
The one part where I'm not gonna say who done it or anything, but there's drawings all over the walls.
Oh yeah.
I could like see it happening. I was like, oh shit. But like I said, the story itself, like the main idea of the story wasn't bad at all. It's just all the bullshit that he added in there that I could have done without.
Like his own like personal agenda was put in there, and
yes,
I don't need that. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah.
But you're right. It like at its core value, like it is a decent enough story.
Yeah, it is.
And if you're a person that appreciates those things being put into a book, then it's for you.
Oh yeah, it's for you for sure. Yeah, just wasn't for us. Very disappointing. Just because I wish that the summary would give you that, because you have no idea. I mean, it's not like saying anything about Christianity or being saved or anything like that. So you're reading it and you're like, whoa. Right. And so there should at least be a little hint of that, but there isn't. So that kind of.
Well, and that might be like our personal bias too, of like, I'm not religious and I don't necessarily care for it being in my books, but there's so many good books out there that have nothing to do with religion whatsoever. And they're perfectly fine. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't need to be part of anything. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, I don't know, like putting, I don't know, like I have a cat. Like you don't give a shit that I have a cat, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I,
what does it matter?
I think what made me more upset, because I've read plenty of books, horror with priests and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But where this kind of, it's just making, if you don't believe in God, this is what kind of person you are. Like, or if you're not religious,
Oh, that was another
it's
thing
just
too.
putting people who aren't Christian in such a bad light. And me not being a Christian, like,
Right.
I don't like that. I immediately am like, oh, I've seen this
I forget
everywhere.
what
Like, this is not new
yeah.
and kind of
Yeah,
annoying.
this is so 1980s. No, I forget what the character was, the neighbor lady. She
Oh, yeah.
her whole story didn't or character arc didn't make sense to me either. Like
No.
she was like racist but also like a spiritual healer, and then
Yeah.
she watched CNN but then also like I don't know.
She was
It was
odd.
so weird. Like that doesn't make sense at all. And again,
I think
she
it's
was a
somebody.
religious, so
I think it's somebody trying to write people, like this person. I'm assuming is a very religious person to an extent,
mhm.
anyways, and has never met people who aren't, and just has this thing in his
Caricature.
head,
Yeah.
yeah, of this is what they're like, and then he wrote it, and it was just like, nah,
And it
fam.
like if you again, if you do watch like I don't know, CNN, Fox News, that is like basically what they're telling you these people look like or talk like or how liberals
Yeah,
are. And it's like, well, I
yeah,
mean, just because I don't believe in God doesn't mean I'm liberal. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It was very so stereotypical with things, and I don't like that.
no, me neither.
Mm-mm. So yeah, I that was a hard pass for me.
We
Um,
read the whole thing though.
we did. We always do. I'm not going to DNF a book club book,
I
but
might at some point though.
I mean, yeah, if it's well, I know we'll decide together. I'll be like, are you reading it?
Right?
So yeah. Oh, so the 10 before the end.
Yes. Let's get into that.
Yeah.
My first, and so it actually did, or I guess I should scoot back. Burp, burp. I thought it would be fun to go over the 5 books that you hope to read by the end of the year, and then that's going to be like our 10 together because
Yeah, mine's ambitious as hell
I
as it
know,
is.
dude.
So
But it's like a trend going around on TikTok at the moment, like your 10 before it end, which is crazy to
yeah,
me because it's November, so you have 2 months to read 10 books. Oh, too
yeah.
much, dude.
I want to like make one with like little golden books. Like here, my 10
Yeah,
before the end, and it's like
the little
little thing.
red hen.
Yeah, little fucking kids books, because I'm like, there's no way. But I made a list, so we'll see how far we can talk about how far we get in January.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry. So go ahead.
No, you're good. So my first is Babel, which is fortuitous because it actually just came up on my Libby. My hold is available at my library, so that's probably what's going to be next.
I've thought about this one for a while.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
1828, Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera in Canton. Hey, did you know that? Never mind. I'll get into that. Was going to be a Snapple fact. Oh, buddy. Okay. Orphaned by cholera in Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There, he trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek, and Chinese. Weird. Ancient Greek? Huh. All in preparation for the day he'll enrolled in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. The tower and its students are the world's center for translation and, more importantly, magic. Silverworking, the art of manifesting meaning lost in translation using enchanted silver bars, has made the British unparalleled in power as the arcane craft serves the Empire's quest for colonization. For Robin, Oxford is a utopia dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, but the knowledge obeys power, and as a Chinese boy raised in Britain, Robin realizes serving Babel means betraying his motherland. As his study progresses, Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy Hermes Society, an organization dedicated to stopping imperial expansion. When Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide, can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does revolution always require violence? Also, super duper long.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
544 pages.
Oof. Yep.
Big oof.
Long boy.
Yeah, so I do already have it on Kindle, but the audiobook came up on Libby, so I'll be doing a little bit of both because that's the only way I can get through books the way that I do. What's on it for you?
So I have Wayward by Amelia Hart. So I am a wayward and wild inside. 2019. Under cover of darkness, Kate flees London for ramshackle wayward cottage, inherited from a great aunt she barely remembers. With its tumbling ivy and overgrown garden, the cottage is worlds away from the abusive partner who tormented Kate. But she begins to suspect that her great aunt had a secret, one that lurks in the bones of the cottage, hidden ever since the witch hunts of the 17th century. 1619. Altha is awaiting trial for the murder of a local farmer who was stampeded to his death by a herd. As a girl, Altha's mother taught her their magic, a kind not rooted in spellcasting, but in a deep knowledge of the natural world. But unusual women have always been deemed dangerous, and as the evidence for witchcraft is set out against Altha, she knows it will take all of her powers to maintain her freedom. 1942. As World War II rages, Violet is trapped in her family's grand crumbling estate. Straitjacketed by societal convention, she longs for the robust education her brother receives, and for her mother, long deceased, who was rumored to have gone mad before her death. The only traces Violet has of her is a locket bearing the initial W and the word wayward scratched into the baseboard of her bedroom. Weaving together the stories of three extraordinary women across 5 centuries, Amelia Hart's Wayward is an enthralling novel of female resilience and the transformative power of the natural world. Doesn't that sound good?
It does. Where did you hear it? TikTok?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But like one little snippet. Like I've only seen it once. It's like books that deserve more hype, and this one. And I always like, I'm like, oh, the cover's fun. So I went and read the synopsis and I'm like, holy shit. So yeah.
Adds to TBR.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds really good, right?
It does.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for that one. Yeah. So yeah, Wayward. Yeah.
Hold on.
WEYWARD. Amelia Hart.
What was the pilot that went missing?
Amelia.
Look
I
at
don't remember.
us. Yeah, it was Amelia something. Okay, my next one, because it has been in my Kindle forever, is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher.
Oh, yeah.
Hala is a housekeeper who has suddenly inherited her great uncle's estate. What is with us in inheritance?
Inheriting estates. I mean, T. Kingfisher.
I wish.
Like, yeah, right?
And unfortunately, his relatives. Sarkis is an immortal swordsman trapped in the prison of enchanted steel. When Hala draws the sword that imprisons him, Sarkis finds himself attempting to defend the new wielder against everything from bandits to roving inquisitors to her in-laws. And the sword itself may prove to be the greatest threat of them all. Pretty quick. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I think it's part of the Saint of Steel series, but like just an offshoot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like Paladin's Grace and all that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, you'll have to let me know because I love T. Kingfisher. So my next one, I had to put some short guys in here, which means Splatterpunk warning. 100% match by Patrick C. Harrison the third. And I wrote Splatterpunk warning. So if anyone's like, ooh, I want to read, check out what we're reading, just so you know, this is going to be a gross one.
So hey, you know what? Based on what you wrote here, I could have guessed it, though, to be fair.
Yeah. Says Bart is thirsty. He is bald. He is overweight. He wears glasses. He is a fry cook. He hates cats and kids. Bart occasionally does very bad things. He is looking for his perfect match. He has done his research. That is
okay. Cool, Bart.
So that's gonna be that's a short one. So I'm like, ooh, I can.
Like
I
less than
had it on
100
my
pages, right?
yeah, it's like 97 pages. It's on my TBR.
Oh
So,
God.
yeah. So I'm sure you'll be excited to hear about that one.
I'm not.
Even the cover is so gross, dude. It's just his dumb face, and you could just tell. But yeah,
Hold on. I gotta look it up. Yeah, you're right. That's
yep.
fucking gross.
You can
Oh
just
my
tell by
God.
looking at it, it's gonna be foul. Remember the same author did another book, and it was the same kind of picture. It was like a half
with a
page.
granddad or something?
Yeah, and then I sent you this one. You're like, same author.
Same
I'm like,
author.
yep.
If you match up their faces. Just kidding.
Yeah, right.
My next
Okay.
one is Red Rabbit, which is what did not win. Sadie Grace is wanted for witchcraft, dead or alive, and every hired gun in Kansas is out to collect the bounty on her head, including bona fide witch hunter Old Tom and his mysterious mute ward, Rabbit. On the road to Bergen County, they're joined by two vagabond cowboys with a strong sense of adventure, but no sense of purpose, and a recently widowed schoolteacher with nothing left to lose. As their posse grows, so too does the danger. Racing along the drought-stricken plains in a stolen red stagecoach, they encounter monsters more wicked than witches lurking along the dusty trail. But the crew is determined to get that bounty or die trying. This was what I wanted after I read, what was it called? The Cowboy Book.
I forget what it's called.
Me too. That's fine. So I'm pretty excited to read this because it's cowboys.
What was it called? It was like 2 words, wasn't it? Like,
yeah. Hold on, let me look at my what I read. It's gonna bother the shit out of me if I don't. My books.
What's it called?
Red.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Oh God, where is it? Where is it? Oh my God, I've read too much. There's a problem.
Well,
anyway, what's your next one, and I'll come back to it.
Okay. So The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. So in a small mountain town of Jasper, North Carolina, June Farrow is waiting for fate to find her. The Farrow women are known for their thriving flower farm and the mysterious curse that has plagued their family line. The whole town remembers the madness that led to Susanna Farrow's disappearance, leaving June to be raised by her grandmother and haunted by rumors. It's been a year since June started seeing and hearing things that weren't there. Faint wind chimes, a voice calling her name, and a mysterious door appearing out of nowhere. The signs of what June always knew was coming. But June is determined to end the curse once and for all, even if she must sacrifice finding love and having a family of her own. After her grandmother's death, June discovers a series of cryptic clues regarding her mother's decades-old disappearance, except they only lead to more questions. But could the door she once assumed was a hallucination be the answer she's been searching for? The next time it appears, June realizes she can touch it and walk past the threshold. And when she does, she embarks on a journey that will not only change both the past and the future, but also uncover the lingering mysteries of her small town and entangle her heart in an epic star-crossed love. Ooh, doesn't that sound good?
It does. Lonesome Dove.
That's it.
Yeah.
2 words.
2 words. Is that a romantasy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Romance and fantasy, and it just sounds fun. She goes through a door.
Yeah.
An adventure. Finds out secrets. Yeah. I'm like, ooh. Jasper, North Carolina. Always fun.
Dude. We really got to talk about where we're going.
We do. So many choices.
So many choices.
Oh, I see what you put next. One of my favorites.
I'm going to read Worms. No, it's called The Troop. You have been on me for the last year and a half to read it, and I just have not gotten around to it.
Thank you.
Once a year, Scoutmaster Tim Riggs leads a troop of boys into the Canadian wilderness for a 3-day camping trip, a tradition as comforting and reliable as a good ghost story and a roaring bonfire. But when an unexpected intruder, shockingly thin, disturbingly pale, and vicariously hungry, stumbles upon their campsite, Tim and the boys are exposed to something far more frightening than any tale of terror. The human carry of a bioengineered nightmare. An unexpected horror that spreads faster than fear, a harrowing struggle for survival that will pit the troop against elements, the infected, and one another. Bum,
It's so
bum,
good.
bum.
I know it kind of sounds like, it's good. I promise you. It's one of those where the summary doesn't do it justice. Oh, so good. So good.
I'll believe it when I see it. Just kidding.
Really good.
I'm sure it will be.
I loved it. So next on my list is Boys Will Be Boys by Rain Havoc.
Oh,
Warning, splatterpunk.
imagine that.
Another splatterpunk one. So Bree goes hiking with her friends, determined to make fun memories before her and her friends are off to college. Everett and his friends are making their own memories, one the girls aren't going to want to be a part of. The boys forcefully include them anyways. That's it.
Oh, God.
It's just, I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I don't either, dude.
Ooh, what's to read? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
What's wrong with me? I don't know. So I'm gonna read that one.
I am like
I've seen that one brought up a lot.
Like
I have seen that one brought up a lot. So now you got to understand, like these, I'm
Do
not
I?
like out in, no, but I'm not in search of like splatterpunk. I'm not like scouring the internet. It's like I have people who read a lot of horror and splatterpunk on my algorithms, so they come up, and if I see one like over and over, I'm like, well, now I got to read it because I get curious, the curiosity. Except for cows, I'm not gonna do cows. I don't think I could ever do cows.
Dude.
I know enough about what's in that book to be like, nah. But
I'm good.
Nah, I'm good. But this one I've seen quite a few times, so I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a go. So yeah.
It's like that whole like thing that like if you go to like a thrift store and you pick up something 3 times, you're supposed to take it home.
Yes.
Type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. I'm like, ooh, there's. I'm like, oh well, now I got to read it. But that's bit me in the ass a couple times with like Dead Inside and Broken Pieces of June, which were the 2 most fucked up books I've ever read in my life. But we'll see if we'll add to that list. So far, it's those 2. All right. So what's your next?
Next for me is again, it's something that is been in my Kindle library forever. Just, I don't know. I get distracted, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the Foxblood King. It's by Hannah Witten. When Lore was 13, that's her name, Lore. She escaped a cult in the catacombs beneath the city of Delaire, and in the 10 years since, she lived by one rule: don't let them find you. Easier said than done when her death magic ties her to the city. Boredom, the magic born from death, is a high-priced and illicit commodity in Delaire, and Lore's job, running poisons, keeps her in food, shelter, and relative security. But when a run goes wrong and Lore's power is revealed, she's taken by the Pressmort, a group of warrior monks sanctioned to use mortem working with the sainted king. Lore fully expects a pyre, but King August has a different plan. Entire villages on the outskirts of the county have been dying overnight, seemingly at random. Lore can either use her magic to find out what's happening, or who in the king's court is responsible, or die. Lore is thrust into Sainted King's littering court, where no one can be believed, and even fewer can be trusted. Guarded by Gabriel, a duke-turned-monk, and continually running up against Sebastian, August's ne'er-do-well heir, Lore tangles in politics, religion, and forbidden romance as she attempts to navigate a debauched and opulent society. But the life she left behind in the catacombs is catching up with her, and even as Lore makes her way through the sainted court above, they might be drawing closer than she thinks.
Ooh, I think I've seen this before.
It's possible.
I'm trying. Foxblood King, right?
I think so, unless I'm wrong.
No, you're not. I'm just. I'll look it up later. I think I've heard of it before. I'm not sure though. Like I've seen it.
Oh yeah,
like
it's like a purple cover.
Okay.
It's got foxbloods.
Yeah.
That helps
Okay.
you. Oh, foxglove.
Glove. Okay. Glove.
See, I was wrong.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, I've seen this before. Like I've seen it floating around.
Yeah.
Ooh.
She wrote
Oh,
For the Wolf.
and a fate inked in blood. Oh no, that wasn't her. That wasn't her.
No. I would.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
I was
read
like,
it.
why are you reading that? Okay, so yeah, okay,
For the Throne and For the Wolf is what she wrote.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. What's
Yeah, that sounds
that?
good.
So what's else for you?
So I just wrote Throne of Glass in between because in between all of these that I want to get done, I will be reading Throne of Glass, trying to, I don't know if I'm going to finish it by the end of the year. This is a very, very ambitious list. Like I said, I did put I put two like shorter books in there, but I still have like 4 books to read from Throne of Glass. So we'll see. But I am going to read like something different in between.
Yeah.
Just to kind of break it up. So, like I said, a very ambitious list. Probably won't finish it by the end of the year, to be honest. But I do want to read all these. Like, I'm going to make sure. Well, shit, I don't know, because now I got your 2 that I want to read. But I'm going to make. I'm going to try to like actually
Trust
go
me.
by this. I'm going to actually try to go by what is on this in this episode, anyways, and like not get off track, because that's what I'll do. Like I'll add something and then I'll get off track, and I'm like, shit. So,
well, you gotta remember too, we have our year in review coming up in January too, to like look back at what our goals were, and we'll see if we actually
yeah
them.
exactly. I really am excited for some of these though. Wayward is, I think, I'm most excited for. Well,
Yeah.
Other than like Throne of Glass, because that just sounds. I did read some reviews, and a lot of guys don't like it. They said, "Oh, it's just hating on men." I'm like, "Oh, I'll love it."
Oh, perfect. That's Kurt right now.
That's why you didn't like it.
Weird.
Such a bitch. No, so like that made me want to read it more. No, I do want to read it though, because it's very interesting. But yeah, I'm excited to hear about everything you're reading, because that all sounds interesting too. Really good, fun. Some fun.
Yeah, but then after reading The Secret History, I really do want to read more Dark Academia, and so now
yeah.
Now my list might also be skewed, so we'll see.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, sounds a ton of fun. So what are you reading right now?
Babel.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't started it yet, but I'm going to start today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not reading anything right now. I'm gonna probably do one of the Splatterpunks tonight, Little Short Boy. I
just get it out of the way. I don't even want to talk about it.
I finished the September House last night, so yeah, I want to finish that
in November.
I know.
Sorry.
I know. I'm horrible. I was busy and sick,
dude,
and there was all the things. I was sick for like 4 days, and then my daughter's in marching band, and there was a competition. It's just I've been running around. I'm like, y'all, and then Halloween, which was great. That was my anniversary, 15 years.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, it's been nuts here, but yeah, I'm gonna start a Splatterpunk tonight. So it is either gonna be Boys Will Be Boys or 100% Match. I just don't know which one I'm gonna go with.
Make TikTok trues. That's what I did.
I don't know if anybody will like actually respond. I gotta start it in a few hours though, you know.
Oh,
like,
I guess you're right.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that for my next one.
Yeah.
I think I'll read one more. I think I'll read 2 before. So I'll read this one, whatever I'm gonna read tonight, and then one more, and then I'll go on to Assassin's Blade. But yeah, I'll let you know. So
please do.
Yes, I will.
Cool. Okay, so what is our book club of November? Oh my God, November! I can't believe we only have 2 more months.
Read with us and be. God, it's a long book.
It is.
Holy shit.
Do you want to choose a different one? Because we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that one let's do that one in January.
Yeah, dude. Because we have so much.
That one when I'm done with Throne of Glass. So it's called Anathema. I don't know how you say it. How do you say it?
I think you're right. Anathema?
Either Anathema. No, that doesn't seem right. Anathema. It's Carrie Lake, and she wrote Nocticadia, which I actually really enjoyed. It's Dark Academia, by the way, but it's 690 pages each.
Yeah, let's go to compare
I
our
don't. I
books to
want
see
to read
what.
it, but I want
Yeah,
to read
but
it later.
like, yeah.
Not right now. Yeah. So what do you think?
We both have The Willows.
Ooh, yeah, that
We
one's supposed.
also have Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. We both have Mary by Nate Cassidy.
Ooh, let's do that one.
Mary? Okay.
Yeah, I've been wanting to read that.
Let me
Okay.
pull it up. Okay, so Mary is a quiet middle-aged woman doing her best to blend into the background. Oh, cool. Unremarkable, invisible, unknown even to herself. Cool. But lately, things have been changing inside Mary. Along with the hot flashes and body aches, she can't look in the mirror without passing out, and the voices in her head have been urging her to do unspeakable things. Fired from her job in New York, she moves back to her hometown, hoping to reconnect with her past and inner self. Instead, visions of terrifying, mutilated specters overwhelm her with increasing regularity, and she begins to auto-writing strange thoughts and phrases. Mary discovers that these experiences are echoes of an infamous serial killer. The killings begin again. Mary is definitely going to find herself. It is 405 pages. It is not on Kindle Unlimited, but it is $12, so should be fine.
Yeah.
Horror fiction thriller.
Yeah, I've been wanting to read this one. This one's been on my TBR for a hot minute.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, and I always see it when I go to like Barnes and Nobles. I usually don't buy books because Kindle.
You know,
But
I was
always
looking.
feel
I
like
know, me too.
looking around, and because I always look in the horror, and I always see this one. I'm like, I need to read that,
You
and then I
know,
forget about it.
we really should make like a TikTok video of us like going through the horror section and just be like, "This is good. This is not." You know.
Yeah, yeah, we should do that. That'd be funny.
We should.
Yeah, I have one Barnes and Noble with a pretty good horror section, and the one closer to my house has a shitty one, so I'll have to go to the one that's a little farther.
Even
It's
like
worth it, though.
going to like your library too. I think that would be.
Yeah. Well, my library is kind of small.
Yeah, well,
I live in a
small
little
town.
so. But they have some good stuff. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, you found.
I'll go there and browse and see if it's. I did find the Hollow Places there. Yeah, which was really good. So, yeah. That's why I wanted to read Willows, because it's kind of like Hollow Places.
Yeah, well, I think it's like based off of or inspired by or whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah. It does.
She does do that a lot, which is fine. I think that's kind of cool, actually.
Just the way she is, she definitely makes everything her own. So.
Oh yeah.
It's not like copying. Yeah.
You got that T-King for
Alrighty. Okay.
You got anything else?
I don't.
For those guys?
Nope.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching, enjoying, and all the fun things. That's all for today's episode of Novelty with SMB.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on social media for more bookish content. I've been your co-host, Stephanie.
And I'm back.
And this has been Novelty with SMB. See you in the next chapter.
Bye-bye.